My first mystical experience was at my first communion. I was dressed in a little white dress like all the other little girls, and patent leather shoes, white patent leather shoes. And when I went up to receive the body and blood, this is in the Catholic Church, by the way, when I went up to receive the body and blood of Christ, that comes through transubstantiation of bread and wine, I had a full body Kundalini experience. And I went rushing over to all my little girlfriends afterwards, so excited about what I'd experienced, thinking everybody experienced this. And the look on everyone's face was, you are weird. And when you're 8 years old, that's the least thing you want to be, is weird. Especially when you have a weird first name. My name is the name of our most recent hurricane, Helene. I had curly hair in a time when straight hair was what was in. I didn't fit in a lot of ways. And so to feel like I was once again the weird one, I shut that part of me down. And mysticism didn't come back until it came through in a blast many years later. I was sent to, let me just start by, I want to show something. This is the person I once was, who thought she was going to be the next white Oprah. Yeah. I had, all of the credentials, PhD in psychology. I was married in Southern Orange County, had a 2,800 square foot home, and within 5 years, all of that was gone, and I could barely pay my rent because I had entered the path of the mystic and given my life to God. And when you give your life to God, watch out. So while I was sitting in the office of a woman who created kinesiology, her name is Valerie Hunt at UCLA, and a friend of mine had sent me to her, and I was 32 years old, practically penniless, and sobbing, because I didn't know what to make of my life. I was having mystical experiences, but had no context for what was going on. And I thought I was losing my mind. And she said to me, and the first time I heard anyone use the word mystic, as it applied to anything but a Christian mystic. And in fact, when I was 13, I actually chose Teresa of Avila as my confirmation name, not knowing that she was a mystic. It was just intuitive. And so sitting in her office, I'm telling her my story, everything that had happened, my life falling apart, blah, 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 being given this word in 1987, LifeQuake, which I was told was the soul waking up to the next level of its evolution. And then they downloaded these 7 stages to this model. I didn't know what to do with this at all. And I didn't have money. And so she said, well, you're a mystic. I said, I can't pay my rent. What does being a mystic mean? What is it giving me? And she then proceeded to do, because she was now retired from UCLA, so she could do whatever she wanted. And she did 2 days of past life regressions with me. And I saw, lifetimes as a pope who was excommunicated for trying to change the church into a place of love. And I thought after that, oh, now my life is going to change. It's going to get better. Only it got worse. And I, about a year later, went through a full-body Kundalini awakening that put me in bed for 18 months. And I spiraled down even further financially into bankruptcy. So the thing that saved me, when I was thinking, when Darlene asked, what are some tools? Well, there's a lot of tools that ended up being in books I've written on LifeQuakes and workshops I've given. But the tool that basically, honestly, saved me throughout my journey, because I've had 3 near-death experiences, 5, dark night of the soul transitions in my life. And what saved me was astrology, because it gave me a context for understanding what it means to have the path of the mystic, and which is to have as your goal union with God. and what that might mean in terms of the level of detachment from the material world you would have to go through again and again and again. And from my body, from having to experience cancer and many other physical illnesses that I went on to help other people with through the path of the wounded healer. So there have been all of these experiences, but without the map that astrology gave me to understand a context for this, all I would have probably experienced was a lot of shame that I had to keep starting over and reconstructing again and again and again. But where I am today, what all of that really taught me, when I look back on who this girl was, who would have been mortified at what she was going to go through, there was anything but becoming the next Oprah. I had a talk show on television in Los Angeles, so that's where that aspiration came from. But that girl would never have known that 40 years later, today, that I would be so grateful, so incredibly grateful for being stripped of the ego that I had at 28. And that whatever the journey is that all of us have right now on this planet, right? That when we can just surrender it all, surrender whatever it is that feels unsurmountable. And I've certainly had some of those moments lately. Whatever that feels that's unsurmountable, when we give it over, and we really do have as our goal just the I am. When I come back to that, I am the I am, and I just let myself merge into the Holy Spirit, something very, very quiet happens inside. And for me now, the deepest goal is peace and love and gratitude.